because man's task is to make the earth after the model of heaven. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Man's project is to heavenize the earth. Man is made to transform the world from glory to glory, to take hold of it and break it down and remake it after the image of heaven.
Welcome back to the Reformed Reset. On this episode, we're going to give you 10 ways you can make your family battle ready in 2024. My name is Grant, and joined with me is my beautiful wife, Ericha, the weaker vessel.
Hello, everyone.
Before we get started, guys, please hit the subscribe button, the like button, leave a comment below, and say hi. You can check us out in podcast world as well, and make sure you subscribe there. There's links down below to our Patreon if you want to financially support us, our merch store, social media accounts. There's some affiliate links to the equipment that we use to do this podcast, and that could financially help us.
Oh, so fancy.
Yeah, I mean, at no additional cost to you. If you shop on Amazon through those links, it supports us and it helps us, guys. So, you know, if you want to do that, that's all down in the description below.
Do it.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Yay.
Yay. We hope your Advent, Christmas season, we're rolling into Epiphany now, Christmas, New Year. I hope all of that was a blessing to you and you had an awesome time.
Ours was fantastic. We had
Yes, it was.
some wonderful people from a sister church in Chelmsford, Massachusetts come up.
The Shepherd's Church. I'm just going to shout it out.
Yeah, so if you are in that area and you are looking for a good church,
Yeah.
it's obviously the best church.
Yeah. Hey,
in Mass.
Their pastor, Kendall Langford, good friend of ours, go look up the Shepherd's Church on YouTube. He puts out some hard-hitting videos on stuff. He does a great job, so go check that out.
Lovely family. Just fantastic. So we were very blessed. We had a big party.
Yeah.
Invited everyone from the church, and we shot fireworks, and we ate food, and we got into some crazy card games.
That's right.
And everyone was screaming and competing against each other and having a great time, and it was just so wonderful and fantastic. And we just really enjoyed ourselves. So we are rolling into the new year with momentum behind us.
That's
and
right.
Hope in our hearts for the good things to come this year.
Yeah. We got a big election at the end of this year.
Yeah.
Or we could just say a big choosing of our next president.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Any way you want to look at it, 2024 is probably going to be a very interesting year.
Yeah.
It's probably going to hold challenges, and it's probably going to have trials that we are all going to have to walk through. And this is true of every year that has ever been for anyone ever. So we thought it would be a great idea to have an episode about ways that you can reinforce your family.
That's right.
And make them battle ready.
Make your family battle ready. The New Year is always a time of reflection, right? You think back on the last year.
It should be.
And you think about the year ahead. And I think God does this on purpose. The calendar in the Old Testament did that, right? They rehearsed previous events. They were supposed to remember what the Lord has done. And so there are cycles, annual cycles that is very normal for us to go through. And this is the time everyone makes resolutions, right? This is the time I'm going to start that new habit or that new practice or whatever.
It's a new calendar. It's a new you. It's a new routine. It's a new whatever, right?
Well, and maybe last year you did that and then it all fell to the wayside, or there were challenges that you faced that you didn't expect. And you're like, man, I really wish I was...
I feel like that's just true. Like, I don't think there's anyone out there who can look back on their year and say, wow, I perfectly predicted everything that happened.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Like, every year has things, good and bad. And every year has things that started out bad that the Lord brought a lot of really good fruit from. Or maybe he's going to, in the next year, bring good fruit from hard trials. But regardless of what happens, we can go into something knowing that... we have an enemy, a real enemy out there who is seeking to steal, kill, and devour.
Right.
And we know that Satan hates the family.
Yes.
And so our niche here is sort of like, how do we,
focused.
how do we help how do we help you strengthen your families. And I think something that we've always done, I shouldn't say always, but pretty much since we started growing in our faith as a young couple, we kind of always sort of recalibrate at the beginning of the year and think through what our goals are, financially, with our kids, with education, with books we're going to read, family worship, whatever.
Yeah.
We kind of always sort of reevaluate where we are as a family. And our family has always had family goals.
Right.
And because you're in ministry, of course, like a lot of those things tend to revolve around ministry. What is our family going to do as far as, ministry goes?
And, babe, when we've done that and sort of kept our focus to a handful of really essential things, now you got me thinking about it now. The most fruit comes from those things that you really invest your time and energy into a few things, whether it's having Sabbath dinners or certain rhythms for family worship,
right,
or whatever it might be,
or certain church programs like we're going to go to every prayer meeting this year or whatever. There can be a plethora of ways that your family decides to do certain things,
but it does seem like the most fruit comes out of those things rather than just thinking, well, I'm just going to do anything
spontaneous,
anything and everything. It was the more intentional things that
it always is
produce the most fruit.
Well, especially as you start having kids and those kids get older and they get busy with things or whatever. I think it's very good. It's good accountability too for the parents, husband and wife, to really sit down and be like, this is what our goals are. And of course, no one's perfect. You can't always perfectly do every goal exactly how you'd want them. And sometimes life just throws you a curveball and you can't do the thing you thought you were going to be able to do because of this, that, and the other thing. And that's fine. You trust the Lord with that too, right? You trust the Lord with even those things. But we do think it's important that you are intentional. And so we have a little list that we would like to go through.
I think
you have your list, I have my list. I'm curious to know if
my
they're
list
at all
has
similar.
10 things.
I thought you were going to say my list is the better one.
Well,
it might be, dear. It might be.
I think the word of God says you need to be submissive to my list. We probably have the same stuff.
I think they're very similar.
Yeah, they're probably going to be similar.
Yeah. I think they're probably
But
close.
I don't know how many you had, but I had 10, and so that's why I said 10. And that's
I
why
only had
10.
7, so your list is already better.
There's probably, ABD's already been done.
Okay. What is your, should we go bottom up? Is this in any particular order? Because mine is not.
Mine kind of is. At least,
I don't think mine is.
At least the top and bottom are. The middle, there's a squishy middle. And those are a little more kind of, they could be placed anywhere. But 1 and 2 are definitely, in my mind, top. And then the 10 and 9 are good places to make sure you start.
Okay, so let's start from the bottom of your list then.
Okay. Number 10. Joy. Because... That's
your last one?
Well, yeah, but hold on. I mean, we got 9 more to go through here.
I would have put that close to the top.
Make a concerted effort to live in the joy of the Lord. And because, and this was what came to mind, the joy of the Lord is your strength.
That's good.
That's number 10. That's where you should start from. So it's number 10. And that's
motivation, right?
There.
That's good motivation.
Yeah.
Okay. I would have said fun and joy is the thing that does it's like the gas in your tank, right?
Yeah. So with that, with joy, I would say, laugh a lot, laugh at yourself,
throw parties,
teach your kids to laugh at themselves. When someone tries to say something and they mess up all their words and it just is funny because they're trying to say it, right, you just laugh at stuff. When the enemy attacks the church, or you can laugh at that too. God laughs and mocks at those who conspire against him. It's God thinks, oh, that's cute, they're trying to overthrow the creator. That's funny. Laugh at it.
That kind of goes hand in hand with one of mine, which was keep short accounts.
Okay. What were you thinking?
I was just thinking, well, part of keeping joy is keeping short accounts.
It's true, because when resentment and bitterness are they suck the joy right out of life, for sure. And what goes hand in hand with joy that also beats bitterness and resentment is gratitude. So, I mean, even difficult situations, you just said it, babe, like you grow through those and you learn things you didn't expect to learn. And so even in difficult, challenging, unexpected situations, laugh and be thankful for them because God's sharpening you in a way you didn't expect and maybe you wouldn't have chosen had the option been given to you.
Yeah, it rarely is your choice.
Yeah, we're to give thanks in all things, you know?
Right. Okay, so that's
like
my
that.
number 7 and your number 10. So our lists are going to be like off, right?
Yep.
Okay, what's your next one?
All right, number 9, I have be socially battle ready. And this, I was thinking in terms of our witness to the world. And so when I was thinking about family, you know, all the families listening, watching, you're going to have other kids or other families at church that you are a witness to, that you're going to encounter that may not, they may not believe all the same theology you do, or they may be very new Christians, or your kids might be in extracurricular activities and they're engaging with non-Christian kids, and you know, on and on the list could go. Do some prep work beforehand to be battle ready and say, okay, when they say these things, here's how we respond, right?
So some of this is like catechism and apologetics.
Exactly. You read my mind.
Yeah.
Apologetics was literally on my mind right now.
There you go.
Yeah. Say, hey, there, you know, teach your kids the antithesis, right? There, guys, there are those in Adam and there are those who are in Christ in this world. You're going to encounter those who are in Adam still and think this way. And that way your kids aren't shocked. Your kids know their mission, their duty when they're out in the world is to recognize that and also to that they remember who they belong to.
Right. Whose name is on them in their baptism.
Amen.
So my number 6 is find a way to serve someone every week.
Nice.
This could be like a family project or even just you personally. And it could be you finding a particular way to bless your spouse or your kids or your neighbors or your pastor or whatever, your mother-in-law. But find something, even if it's just something as simple as like sending a text message saying, hey, I was thinking about you this week, praying for you. Let me know how your doctor appointment goes. Or do you need anything? Or is there anything particular I can be praying for?
That's awesome.
Like find a way to be very intentional with your time and not make it solely about you and yourself. Be others focused.
That's really, really good. So my number 7.
We're gonna have to keep our own numbers straight.
I'll be able to keep this straight. My number 7 was fellowship and feasting, but then the hospitality part of that. And so not just within your own church. When you say fellowship, people probably just think they're church, but feasting and hospitality. And I was thinking your neighbors, and it can be small acts of kindness. Like you said, you can just give them something really small. Like during the holidays, you give them a plate of cookies and just say, you know, God bless you. I hope you have a Merry Christmas. And, you know, what, just something small like that can mean a lot to your neighbor. And the literary example that came to mind, because you can draw people into the kingdom through this kind of love that you're talking about, being others focused. One of my classes, we just started going through the merry adventures of Robin Hood. And you don't get this from the Disney movie, but one of the really cool things about Robin Hood is more often than not, he doesn't even fight those who are his enemies. He'll talk with them and reason with them, and he invites them into the group. And so him and his merry men, there's
a conversion. Yeah,
he draws them in with just feasting and hospitality and kindness and says, come on, we're about to eat and drink. Let's celebrate. This guy's going to play some music. And there's all these stories in Robin Hood where his enemies turn into his friends. Right. And it's by inviting them in.
That was my number 5, was learning how to party.
Nice.
Like
that goes with my joy and all that too.
We got to learn how to party. And I mean, like, literally throw a grand party. This does not require a lot of money necessarily. And this is, if you don't have a lot of money, it's even harder to do this, but it's going to take more skill and thought. But learn how to throw a party that would make the pagans blush.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that they'd feel ashamed, like, why don't we do that?
Right. Like here we have all these, you know, substances that are illegal that we think make us awesome, but then we peek in on your festivities and we just feel ashamed of how, like, underwhelming our parties are.
Yeah.
That's what we need to do.
That's good. And so there are 3 levels of critique when it usually comes to creative work. And I was just listening. N.D. Wilson talks about this several times. There's the technical response and objective. And I think, I don't know why this popped in my head now, you're talking about partying. The aesthetics matter, right? How that table is set, doesn't that not? And so, like, do the best that you're able. It's not like if you don't, you're a failure, don't try. Do the best you're able. The response matters. What kind of impact is this going to have on your guests, right?
I think what I meant when I said, like, with blush is kind of where you're going with this, is like, it needs to be so extra that they look in and they think like,
why?
Ooh, that seems like that might be a waste of resources. It's just a Thursday. You know what I mean? Like, that sort of, and with the way the world is right now, it's like funny because in a lot of ways the pagans think that they are conserving things like the earth or the planet or whatever. It's like for people who are liberal, they're really bad at their weird conservation efforts.
True.
But like Christians, we are not fearful that the Lord is short on his resources, right?
Yeah.
So we can spend ours up. I'm not saying like,
gluttony is when you're being wasteful.
Right.
But proper feasting and joy is what you're talking about.
Right. We've had neighbors make comments to us about how we do things like, I always want to pull in and see what's going on. And we're like, you're welcome anytime.
You're always welcome.
Come on over.
So I would conclude, because the other aspect is objective value, meaning we are singing psalms together.
Yep.
We are doing this all in a righteous, God-honoring way. And you want to do all of that in a way like what you're saying, where the pagan is going, did you get an invite?
Yeah.
I didn't get an invite.
Or thinking, are they allowed to do that?
Yeah.
Are they allowed?
It's Thursday. It's
yeah.
Good, yeah. They allowed to do that? That's a lot of partying. I don't think that's right. That can't be good for the
liver.
That can't be good. There are probably a lot of O2 gases coming out of that house. Carbon.
What is your next one?
My next one. So this kind of goes along.
Is this your 7?
No.
This is your
my
6.
8.
Oh, okay. I'm really off.
My 8, I said devotionally battle ready. And there's a reason why I separated this from the stuff. But daily time spent with God.
So that's what I had for my number 1, which was not in any particular order, but family worship.
And then that includes family worship.
Yeah.
So it's got it. So the individual, but as well as family worship, needs to be a priority. And we've talked many times before on the podcast about family worship, and it can look.
Have we done that recently?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Maybe we should do that.
Yeah, we could revisit that topic. That one's really good. But it can look 100 different ways, right? And we've done it 100 different ways, and it's been valuable all those different ways.
Yeah, as our kids have grown, especially, it's changed significantly from when they were babies.
They are way more involved now.
Oh, yeah.
Reading and doing stuff like that. But praying together, singing together, reading the Bible, and also church history, stuff like that. You want to instill all that in your family.
I think family worship is obviously crucial. If you're going to battle, you want your children to be fully and thoroughly equipped.
Right.
And that means with their minds going into battle, they need to know what it is that they're going to come up against. So there is that catechism that is crucial.
Yep.
N.D. Wilson also talks a lot about stories and how powerful stories are. So
they really are.
Reading fiction to your children is so important. Giving your kids examples of what being heroic looks like.
Exactly.
This last year for us, actually last several years for us, you in particular have really faced some pretty big foe. And they were there. The government of Canada was one of them.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so teaching your kids, you can face these massive giants with total confidence and joy. And you can, when they demand things of you that are wicked or they accuse you of sin or whatever, you can just laugh at them.
Right.
And I Doug Wilson has had a blog post where he talks about being able to, as a Christian, say, with a smile on your face, not a chance, Skippy.
Right.
I'm not going to do that. And you can be kind of...
when they say budge and, scoot over this way, you just say, oh, yeah, no thanks.
Yeah. And you can do it with joy in your heart and not fearful. Well, why? Because you have catechized your heart and said, well, David faced his giant and I can do that too, right? The same God that David worshipped, I also worship. And that's a story that gives you boldness, right? And that's true of fiction books too. Teaching our kids who are very small, especially, they can relate to story in a way that is different than theological concepts oftentimes. You can tell your kids, oh, God's bigger than your enemies. And that's true. Or you can tell them a story where that was true, and that will stick with them. Yeah.
Daniel's a great book for that.
True.
Daniel, and then the Shadrach, Meshach. Yeah, it's good.
There's literal...
Well, you remember...
Bible's great, because there's literal giants, there's literal fires, there's literal serpents, there's literally all these things that literally happen that people have had...
Yeah, and of course, church history is a great example too, who have, men and women who have followed in the footsteps of Christ that way. That's really good. I was gonna say something. Oh, we're prone to forget. And when we go back and do family worship every day, and even if it's things that you've gone over before, it's like the soldier who just opens up the manual again, right? The ranger who just opens up the ranger handbook again and just keeps flipping through and reminding himself of how to react when contact happens and what kind of contact and all this kind of stuff.
It's like running drills.
Yeah, you're running drills, and because we're prone to forget.
Yeah.
You're going to forget.
And making muscle memory is important. Like when you are running drills, I have very limited knowledge when it comes to things like running drills because I am not athletic in any way, shape, or form. But I do know that running drills is super important. And a lot of times when you are about to have the ball passed to you, you rely on solely like muscle memory.
Right. Yeah.
You don't have a lot of time to think through what the best, route.
No, muscle memory makes you incredibly efficient. At whatever task you're doing. That's evident all over the place.
Right.
So yeah, good. Which one was that? Oh, that was devotional battle ready. Good.
What's your next one?
Okay, so my next one is number 6. Educationally battle ready. Get your kids out of government schools.
Full stop.
Get your kids a Christian education somehow, some way. We think homeschooling is the number one way to be able to do this. Some people, a good Christian school is where that can happen for them. But
co-ops, and there's a lot of options nowadays.
People are getting creative nowadays with stuff like that. So yeah, there's a lot of ways to crack that egg.
And all of them are better than a public education.
And all of them are a million times better than a government school education in our day and age. So, but
which means when you choose a Christian school, make sure it's actually a Christian school and not just like a side pond of government education.
A Christian school is not a school that just also has a Bible class, right?
Well, what I mean by like side pond or like a tide pond is like, you go to the beach and it's like the ocean's all out there. But then like a little further inland, there are these tiny little ponds that kids play in.
Yeah.
Like a lot of times that's what a Christian school is because they're taking government funding. It's like the government school is this big ocean of indoctrination, but there can be little tide ponds or side ponds that your kids are sitting in and you're thinking, oh, this is a Christian school.
Yeah.
But it's just the little shallow end.
Yeah. It's, they're controlled opposition.
Yeah.
No, that's a good point. And you should find those things out. You should ask, does this school take government funding?
And what is your curriculum? Because there are a lot of like Christian curriculums. Is that what you were saying?
Okay, it's like you can't just add a Bible class and then say it's a Christian school. And even, like you said, Christian curriculum. Well, what does that mean? Because there's a lot of people that use curriculum created by Mormons and stuff. And it's like, that's not Christian. Just because Jesus and God happens to show up on a few pages, is it a curriculum that holds to a 100% world and life view that Christ is Lord over all and all needs to be submitted to the Lordship of Christ?
If you're using a Mormon curriculum or something like that, all you've done is just switch out the cult for another.
Yeah. You want even math to be submitted under the lordship of Christ, that God is the one who has created the world, created science and mathematics, that there is no science faith conflict. It all flows and stems from a Trinitarian world and life view.
Right.
And so that needs to be like a no-fail mission, right?
And I think some parents are very overwhelmed at the thought of educating their children if they have no background in education. And what we would say is just start, because you can fine-tune, and you will fine-tune every single year you homeschool your kids. But it is better to start and tweak as you go than to never start at all.
And that small start is still better than sending them to a government school.
Right. Yep.
So
it's true.
Don't despise the day of small beginnings.
And there are so many resources.
Tons of resources.
If that's something you want to do and you're freaked out about it and there's like a pricking in your conscience right now, feel free to reach out. We'd love to get you started or pointed to something.
Tips and tricks and whatnot.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. All right.
What's your next one?
My next one is health.
I had that one too.
Did you?
I did.
Well, this is something we've been talking about.
I know. See, I told you our lists are going to be very similar.
I know.
I honestly think this was much lower on my list, but
so this is right in the middle.
I do think it's important.
Well, and it's, there's more and more coming out about how the food industry, food and drug industry is just not on your side and not really on your side health-wise. And we're not medical experts. We are not health experts or anything.
But I have gone through a lot of health issues this last year especially.
And I had to pay attention to quite a bit of this in the Army, just because you're supposed to be in shape and whatnot. And so you just do a lot of research.
The older you get, the more you start realizing the old body is breaking down at a pace you weren't necessarily anticipating.
Right. But I think it has to go without saying that being healthy, so staying away, obviously not overindulging in like anything, but we all know the things that make you fat and lazy and don't overindulge. Self-control in these things, moderation in these things, and some kind of level of fitness and just exercise and moving and whatever. Again, million different ways that this can look. Everybody's different. Everyone has different interests. Everyone lives in different climates.
Everyone has different health issues too. And this is something that I think you and I have talked a lot about, because when you go online or you hear people talk, especially if you are a young mom and someone's saying diet, exercise, you're thinking, I am just lucky if I don't have to start the washer 3 times today because I keep forgetting and it's getting musty. Yeah. You know what I mean? And so in those situations, I understand the feeling of overwhelm for a lot of people. There's just too much happening. And a lot of the things you hear about diet, exercise, health, whatever, it's conflicting and it's confusing and all these things. And what I would like to say to those kinds of people who hear us and say, yeah, wouldn't that be nice?
Sure.
Is just start by doing something.
Go around the block with your kids.
One small thing. Yeah. And it can be something as small as I need some sunshine. We're going to really prioritize just getting some good old vitamin D and see what that does for us and our health. Or I'm going to try and cut out seed oils, or I'm going to try and buy organic apples, or I'm gonna bake more bread from scratch because it's better.
Make what's it called when you make something from, like, you're actually using the ingredients rather than something prepackaged, or
baking something from scratch?
I guess that's it. But
yeah, we're gonna focus on more vegetables. Whatever it is, you choose your diet. I just feel like this is something really important, and it's something that we're noticing, because if times get weird and we're all sick and unhealthy and dependent on, drugs and medicines, like it's not going to be good for our families, right?
Yes.
Especially like the more we get to researching fertility rates and all these crazy things, like we want our kids to be able to have big families and be healthy, and I want that to be physically and biologically possible. So I do want to watch my kids' nutrition and our nutrition and all these things.
And we're not Gnostics. we do see God's creation as something given to us to steward, and that includes our bodies, and it's a good thing. God declared it a good thing, and it's not something that we are to take for granted, abuse, or anything like that.
Yeah.
So it does matter. And I know there is there's two different ditches on this road where you have some people who are all, I see it in the man world where it's all machismo, macho, and whatever.
Yeah. If you don't work out every day, you're in sin.
Right. Or if you're not, lifting weights, then it's like, well,
that's dumb.
Some people can't.
Yeah.
For health reasons, or they have to do, or whatever it is. And then the other side is whatever, just character matters, or whether it's like, no, it matters. Mm-hmm. And let's, stay balanced on this topic.
And you can always do better. Everyone knows I could try a little harder in a lot of areas.
Yeah. And if there's anything that's a problem throughout society, is men and laziness.
I feel like when I was having some health issues back in August, we had another pastor who visited us, and he recommended a podcast, and I started listening to it because I was curious, and I was like, well, I've got to try something here, right? And I started implementing a lot of the things that I was listening to on this podcast. And I have seen really positive changes, like biological changes. I've had blood work to prove it. And I was really thankful that he was bold enough to say, if you feel like crap, listen to this. Maybe just try it, right?
Yeah.
And he wasn't pushy or rude, but like he explained things in a way that was very doable, right? Just do this, just try this. It's very small, whatever. And I saw benefit. And I think that's all we're encouraging is just try it. Just try small things.
Yeah. I would just say it's not something that should be ignored. And so do something to make yourself more battle ready, even just health wise, more energy, more strength,
more mental clarity,
alertness. All those things matter the Bible even says, right? Be sober minded, be vigilant, all these things require your body to exert energy and stuff. So
try it.
I think the logical conclusion would be, how do you get yourself to do that? Yeah. So that was one for me. Yeah. Number 4. Let's see if you have this one too.
Okay.
Financially, battle ready.
I did not have that one.
Did not have that one. And this, again, is going to look very different depending on your situation. However, as we've seen, inflation, skyrocket, and how quickly our government leaders can come in and restrict things, or how much you buy, or tax you, and all that kind of stuff. My encouragement is look for ways to increase your independence from, like, that you can, produce
from the economy.
And it may be something, I don't know, maybe something really small. Maybe
what he's saying is get some chickens.
Get some chickens. It could mean get some chickens. And part of that too is it's not like chickens are this like golden
goose.
Yeah, that's right. It's not like, oh, you get chickens and all your economic, woes are now behind you.
No, that's dumb.
But
I'm just teasing.
But I think there's something catechetical about it, where you actually put in the work to get an animal, build a coop, build a run, or whatever. And in your mind, you're like, I'm providing for myself and my family. You're not just thinking, who do I need to go to to provide for me and
You're
my family?
You're the producer rather than the dependent person.
Yeah, I think there's just a mindset there that's good to at least activate.
We talk about this a lot. Having lived through 2020, especially in Brooklyn, when there were all these limits on what you could purchase and whatever, I remember thinking, I understand why my ancestors were freaked out and hoarders, because they lived through things like the Great Depression, where you didn't throw a stitch of anything away because you didn't know what you were going to need. That's where some of the most beautiful quilts have come from, because they literally saved every single scrap of fabric they had, and they used every single scrap of everything. And I think there's something really beautiful about that, and not just being so wasteful and just assuming that everything is going to go your way and you're going to have all this excess forever, because that may not be true.
Right. Yeah, the mindset of just I'll get another one. And
Yeah.
and it's sad because, and I've seen this a lot too, people talking about planned obsolescence with a lot of things, or appliances today are even built
Yeah, I was gonna
to
go
just
there.
be replaced. They're hardly built to be worked on and just fixed when there's an issue. They're almost built to just be replaced.
And I think even if you can, a lot of people don't know how to. And so rather than teach themselves, they either hire someone else to do it or they just buy a new one.
That's a really good one, hun, for being financially battle ready is doing the work of teaching yourself skills, so that way you're able, you're not paying out as much.
We have learned so much as homeowners on how to fix the most random things.
And YouTube is filled
there's no excuse
with videos to teach you how to do stuff. And I know a lot of you probably do that, but yeah, there's a lot of different things that go into being financially ready. But whether that's learning a new skill and changing careers, whether that's, I don't know what that might look like, but that's obviously
like being anti-fragile almost.
Yes.
Be as anti-fragile as possible.
Yeah. And obviously that's a huge factor in our life, right? There's a lot decided on that one thing of how to provide. So yeah, think about that. That's number 4 for me. Number 3 is emotionally battle ready.
Oh, you really got into these. Okay.
Oh yeah.
What does that mean?
Well, it was kind of funny because I made this and then our kids had a little tiff, and then I was like, yeah, emotionally battle ready. And Eddie earlier today, used the word stoic, and it got me thinking, the Stoics were the philosophy, the Stoic philosophy.
Sure.
Anyway, they talked about, the virtuous man is one who can, who has a good firm hold on all his emotions. And usually the ditch is you can go too far and you have no joy, right? You don't let anything bring out happiness in you. And obviously there's a sinful direction.
Yes.
Stoicism
Yeah, you can go too far.
Go too far. However, self-control, gentleness, forbearance, patience, all these things are fruits of the Spirit. And being able to withstand those challenges that we talked about, being able to withstand these things, being able to withstand slander and gossip that is coming against you, or just somebody's rude and in the moment you want to lash out. But to have the battle ready, the emotions battle ready, where you grab a hold of them and you don't do that.
Right.
And you just submit them to the Lordship of Christ. And so as parents, doing this for family, making families battle ready, right? Noticing that, discipling your kids out of that, discipling even
learning
our
not
emotions.
to just react.
Yes.
Don't just react. Be prepared and know what you're going to do when someone is trying to provoke you.
Right.
When someone is gossiping about you. When someone is whatever.
Yeah. And yeah, exactly. And you want to respond because, something bad is happening. But our response needs to be Spirit-filled. You're walking with the Spirit, right? So being emotionally battle ready. I mean,
right. What are your other battle readies? I want to know.
Okay, I got two more. Okay. That was 3. Here's number 2. Intellectually battle ready. So just challenging yourself to learn new things. And
I feel like if you planned these right, you probably could have had some really cool acronym or something.
Oh, possibly. Perhaps. We'll ask AI to do that.
Okay.
Build me an acronym of this. But I was thinking, men and women, and we talked about this before, we need to be challenging ourselves to continue to grow in our faith. Read that hard book. Read big, good old books to your kids, right?
Even if they don't understand.
Yeah, because read The Lord of the Rings to your kids. Read C.S. Lewis to your kids. And there's so much value in these great books of history. Read them. Read the systematic theology, men. Just do it. But it's a whole lot of words I don't know. Well, you'll know them after you read it. Yeah, you can look
them up.
Yeah, and
you're teaching your kids, if you don't know something, you can learn.
Yeah,
which is great.
Totally.
Going back to Christian education.
I'll plug John Frame's works in theology, his systematic theology, his philosophy stuff. he has a glossary, a massive glossary at the back of all of his major works. So any of these terms, just go to his glossary. I do that all the time.
Okay, real quick. This is sort of off topic, but also on topic.
I have another reason why this is important, but
okay, I will forget. So let me go first.
Do your off topic, on topic topic.
Okay. I'm going to give you age groups, and I want you to tell me what you would read to our kids if they were in that age group.
What genre of book are we talking?
Whatever comes to your mind, I guess.
Oh, wow. This is really random.
Let's say, like, this is being intellectually ready or family worship or whatever. Okay. You have babies, so, like, newborn to 5. Or 3 to 5, probably.
3 to 5. So they're understanding somewhat, right?
Like, very little.
Wise words, Peter Leihart.
That's exactly where I would have went to.
Yeah. And that could even be good all the way to, like, 10, 11, 12. But
so that's good for,
but at that young age, there's a lot of, like, fairies and animals and you know, things that they're used to seeing in their kids' books.
Anything else?
Nothing comes to mind.
Okay. Okay, so then let's say 5 to 10.
Trial and Triumph by Richard Hannula.
Okay.
Hannula.
Okay. He has several books.
He's another one called For Christ,
Radiant?
For Christ's Crown. He has Radiant as well. That's true. That's for girls. Or it's about girls. Yeah. But so what he's written, there's another one for Christ in Covenant or for Crown and Covenant, something like that. It's specifically about Covenanters and Presbyterians that were persecuted. But
those would all be good for that same age probably, huh? And older kids, I think.
Yeah, he writes chapters that are probably 5 to 10 minute long reads. And it's about a person in church history that has a glorious story. I'm
going to say the Chronicles of Narnia. I think that's the perfect age right in there. Start reading those to your kids.
10? Yeah, no, that's good.
Those are really fun and great. Okay, so let's say 10 to 13, which is our kids' ages right now.
Right.
So what are we doing with our kids right now? I guess is the question.
Well, you're reading them Screw Tape Letters.
Yep. I've read them several things here recently. We read a short bio on Martin Luther, and that was good. But recently, Screw Tape Letters. We've gone through some books of poetry with, you know. I think those are good.
Yeah, you can go a little tougher with them. You can read Lord of the Rings.
Which they're reading currently.
And yeah, they're reading that currently. So.
By themselves, though. Also, we are going through the Belgic Confession with them currently.
Yes, yeah, we're currently reading the Belgic with them. And they're reading along with us and just bringing out quick points and stuff.
Yeah,
so,
but they're able to start grasping onto those concepts a little bit better. Okay, so we don't have any kids that are older than this. So this is really...
I think high school, I would recommend them reading something like a Louis Berkhoff Manual of Christian Doctrine.
At this point, at high school...
All right.
Okay, part 2. Phone died.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's continue.
So the thing about the teenage age is that by the time you get to those teen years, you kind of want them thinking and processing and rationalizing and arguing like an adult would, right?
They have, and the home is where you want them to practice that and refine that skill. Not once they leave. We've seen what happens there. They will leave the faith is what happens.
Right.
So they need to be able to wrestle with doubts and confusions with predestination and free will and, you know, those kinds of things.
Right.
So that way they don't go to the world in the, you know, professor.
When we first became PCA, we went to a Sunday school class and it was for adults, and the pastor's 2 teenage boys, who at the time probably were both high school age, probably freshman and senior. And they were in the class and they were engaging with the rest of this adult class. Yeah. I think we were going through Berkhoff's systematics.
Later we were. Yeah, there was a few things that we went through. All of it was
Plowing and Hope was another thing. Yeah.
Yep, Plowing and Hope.
But they were engaging like the adults. And I remember you and I we had very young kids at the time.
Yeah.
And we were just so impressed. And we thought to ourselves, we're like, this is what we want our teenagers to be like, you know?
Right. Exactly. Yep. Able to think at a deep level. So I put that on there to encourage everybody to dig deeper on the intellectual level. And the additional point I wanted to make was that modernism that then morphed into postmodernism, that's now morphing into who knows what ism. I mean, it's just the clown world is,
Right.
and wokeism and all these things are seeping into the thinking of our day, and we need to be strong, battle ready in a Christian view of philosophy, a Christian view of ethics and politics, and we need to continue to refine, firm up our Christian worldview on all these things. Because again, I think eventually what's going to happen, like the Roman Empire, it's going to fall apart. And what will be there are going to be the Christians who are able to build civilization again.
Well, and whether it falls apart or not is really irrelevant. At any point, in order to get back to where we need to be going, the Christians are still going to have to step up and rebuild.
Right.
Either rebuild ruins or rebuild from where we are right now.
Right. And honestly, right, shouldn't we be building already?
Right.
So that'll help.
Right. All right, next point.
This is my last one.
Okay, I've got one or two that maybe we didn't talk about.
All right. Well, let's exhaust your list.
Well,
and then...
well, maybe it's the same. So what is your last one? What is it?
All right. Number one thing to make yourself battle ready for 2024 is Lord's Day worship.
Okay.
Emphasizing, investing in, ensuring that you are, that you go to a church, that you are a member of a church, that you're there every Sunday, unless extenuating circumstances, serious extenuating circumstances. But there is nothing that makes you more battle ready than declaring Jesus is King, singing his praises, going into his presence and being fed the body and blood, being fed the word of God, and being strengthened up and being built up in corporate Lord's Day worship. Nothing beats it.
Right.
That's why it's number one on my list.
Great.
What
I like it.
What about yours?
I agree. That's a good one.
I feel like yours actually had a little more practical bent on them.
I mean, I feel like going to church is pretty practical, but
I guess so.
Mine was prioritizing prayer as a family.
Oh, okay.
That was my number
Good.
2.
So that relates to the devotional one?
Kind of, but like more specific, because it doesn't
Yes.
necessarily even have to be in family worship, but just make it a point to pray as a family.
Yeah, no,
And
that's
making
good.
your kids pray too.
You know,
Making them, that sounds bad, but you know what I mean?
yeah, that is really good. I like that. If you look at, this just popped into my head, Kuiper was kind of shocked when he visited Muslim countries and he saw how much they pray and how often they're declaring, Allah is great and Muhammad is prophet and all that. And he did the math, and it was like hundreds and hundreds of times every month they're saying these things. How often are Christians praying all throughout their day? Like specific, like when I was deployed in Afghanistan and we hire local national, to work on the base and stuff, and they literally stop working, roll out their mat, and do their prayer. And sure, you could critique it as just dead religious rituals or something, but
Which it is, because their God is dead.
But are you saying, oh, you're not supposed to do that, or you shouldn't?
Well,
be
they shouldn't
praying?
be doing that, no.
You know what I'm saying.
We should be as pious.
We should be more pious in
Yes.
some sense, not because of just religious, dead religious duties
because
or something.
our God's not dead.
Yeah, I mean,
He's surely alive.
how often are you actually pausing and praying? And it doesn't need to be some big elaborate thing, but legitimately stopping everything else going on in the world because there is something else
Something more important.
that's more important.
Crucial. Yeah. Right.
So that's good. But anyway, praying as a family, that is good. I like that.
Yep. That's it. The other one that I had, we kind of already touched on,
Did
and
we?
it wouldn't have been in like the number one. Mine were not in order. The
yours
only
were.
other thing that I had was just learning to say no, which kind of goes along with a not a chance Skippy thing that we had discussed earlier,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like learning to say no and not care. Just don't care. Don't take things personally. Don't care. Can't do
Yeah,
it. Don't
yeah.
want to do it.
That's good.
Not going to do it. Just getting really good at that.
God doesn't approve. It goes not just immoral things, but with the being intentional about the things that you do, and not just, like you said, being spontaneous. Be intentional.
Yeah, I think one thing, for better or worse, that I have learned a lot about myself, and the Lord has refined in me, and probably still is I'm really good at just not caring what people think about me in general. Like, I just don't care.
Okay.
And sometimes that can be in a really bratty or snarky way. But learning that is a sin, but also caring so much about what other people think about you is the opposite sin.
Usually.
But both are motivated by the same thing, generally.
That's true. Take yourself too seriously.
Yeah. And so finding the balance in between being a brat and then also being hyper focused on how people are viewing you. Like, Christians have to put both of those things to the side and just say, I'm wholly unbothered by whatever people's opinions are, so long as I know I'm right with the Lord.
Well, we are not supposed to live with fear of man, but
Galatians
we're supposed
1:10.
to fear the Lord.
Yep.
That's good.
Right.
And that's the beginning of knowledge.
Well, and going forward as a family, individually, as Christians in the culture, we're going to have to really be okay with people not liking us and people misunderstanding us, misjudging us, mischaracterizing us, slandering us, gossiping about us, because it's going to happen because they're on an opposite team of us, right? Like, their goals are not the goals that we have in mind. And so there is a war.
Yes.
Hence the term culture wars. Right.
All right, guys. Those are ways that you can make your family
It's like
battle
17
ready. It's kind of set. It's 13 and a half, because that's between 10 and 17.
I don't think that's proper math, but maybe one of our goals should be to be better at math.
I'm a humanities teacher, and there's a reason for that.
I don't know how you got there, but we'll go with
17, and halfway between 10 and 7 is 3.5.
I think we agreed on some, though. I don't even remember how many.
Oh, they all count? Oh, then we only have like 13 or 14
We can't know how many.
ways. I don't know.
There are some ways.
There are at least 10, because I know I have 10, and then I think a few sprinkled in.
Those are bonus. Those are bonus points,
Bonus
really?
points.
That is just...
It's extra credit. You do all the 10 and those, you're going to get extra credit for 2024. Bonus points. You'll level up even quicker.
That's right.
This year.
You didn't even have to be a Patreon for those. So
amazing. All right, guys.
Blessed and highly favored are you.
We need to stop talking.
Okay.
God bless you in 2024, and we hope that that's helpful. And until next time, take hold and reorder creation by first reforming your home. This has been the Reformed Reset.
But on the basis of grace and on the finished work of Jesus Christ, the project is back in force, and the destiny of a new transformed world is assured.
I just put the sourdough in the oven too, so I've got like 40 minutes.